Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Voices of Sussex. I am Gerard James, and today I have a special guest for you. He is a homegrown kid that went to Delaware Valley High School, where he was actively involved in a number of different activities, including football, Health Occupation Students of America, and the Relay for Life, graduating from there in 2008. He would then go on to Lebanon Valley College and graduate in 2012 with his bachelor's degree in psychology. While there, he was named first team all-conference, first team all-region, and received All-American honors in football. He continued his studies at Marywood University, subsequently earning his master's degree in clinical psychology. While in graduate school, he worked as a direct patient care specialist at St. Joseph's Center and played semi-professional football. He would then be hired here at Sussex County Community College as the Dean of Institutional Effectiveness and Marketing, Enrollment Management, and Distance Learning here at the community college. He has spearheaded various strategic planning and economic projection initiatives and has also been able to secure over $5 million in grants here for the school. He has presented at a number of different higher education conferences, and he serves as a peer reviewer for the Middle States Commission on Higher Education. In addition to everything that he does here at the school, he is pursuing his PhD in psychology with an emphasis on integration between technology, psychology, and learning. He has been serving his community since a young age, either from being a firefighter with the Westfall Volunteer Fire Department and as currently being the dive master for the Westfall Volunteer Fire Department. And he loves to give back to his community as he has either coached or umpired for the Babe Ruth Baseball League. He's also coached for the Pike Area Youth Athletic Football League, and he has also served on the Pike County Chamber of Commerce Business Education Committee. Not only is he the vice president of Sussex County Community College, but he is also the mayor of Matamoros, Pennsylvania. Like I said, he is a homegrown kid. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Cory Homer.
Great. Thank you for having me.
So yes, I did do my homework.
Yeah, you did well. You did well. You did well.
Like I said, you are a homegrown kid.
Yes, sir.
How does it feel to not only grow up here and see the changes throughout the years, but also now to be a part of that change as the vice president, as I said, the mayor?
Yeah. Well, first, again, thanks for having me. It's awesome. I love, sitting down and doing these things. And I like getting the message across where, you mentioned I'm a homegrown kid, and I love to, tell folks over and over that's okay, right? Is there something about, your daughter learning to ride a bike on the same street you learned to ride a bike on?
Oh,
right?
that would be really nice.
It's like a tearjerker, kind
right.
of, the Hallmark movie stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but like I said, I grew up in Matamoros my whole life. My parents met in Orange County, New York at Goshen High School, came across the border for better job prospects and, lower taxes. Probably.
Everybody loves lower taxes.
Yeah, that's right. So my parents moved over. I grew up there. I graduated Delaware Valley in 2008. I played football there. I was in HOSA, the Health Occupation Students of America. I went to the national competition for sports medicine, actually, through that program. At the same time, I started volunteer firefighting for my local community at 16. So I started as a firefighter and a scuba diver then. That's when I fell in love with diving.
Are you still a dive master?
I am a dive master.
I did do my homework.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm still dive master of the Westfall Township Fire Department there. And so doing all of that, again, coaching football and helping out any organization that I could in the county. There's something about, giving back to your community and taking some ownership. I think that there's a lot of folks, and we know this, right? Especially you and I. They have a lot to say. They may have a lot of ideas.
Right.
You hardly see folks with a lot of ideas doing a lot of things and putting them into action.
Right.
Put your money where your mouth is. Every volunteer opportunity you do costs you money. When you think about it, costs you money. It costs you time away from your family. It costs a lot, right?
It's a lot of sacrifices.
It is. And so, but again, you're looking at the greater good and what it is and does for the community, right? And that's why I came back. That's why I love Sussex County Community College. That's why I'm still here 10 years later. When I came in as a scrawny 24-year-old kid at a graduate school, not knowing anything else. And, I've been here 10 years. I was on the DV school board, as you mentioned, for 8 years. I was board president there during COVID, actually. So that was
Tough times right there.
tough times, man.
Tough times.
Tough times, but you make it through, and it's not funny, but like one of the things about those types of situations, it is like when you take a look back at it, you're like, man, I learned so much. And every situation in your life, you kind of have to take stock of like, all right, that sucked, that was challenging, but all right, now look how much stronger I am because of it.
Right.
So it's big. Yeah.
What was your journey like out of high school? Because you traveled, all your college career to get your education.
Yeah. So in high school, I was recruited heavily for football all over the place. I did one trip out to Lebanon Valley College. I kind of fell in love with the campus and the small liberal arts school. It kind of, not from the largest high school in the world, so it kind of spoke to me. The coaches were great. They really put academics with athletics, so that was a great mix.
That's a great mix.
Other coaches I spoke to were like, yeah. These are the majors you could choose from, because it doesn't match with your practice schedule or something like that. And I was like, dude, I think you got it backwards, So I got recruited from Lebanon Valley. I went out there, had a great time. I was captain my senior year, as you mentioned, an All-American my senior year. Again, something about athletics will teach you about life too.
Oh yeah.
One of my proudest achievements is in 2008. I was actually Scout Team Player of the Year. So like you can be like everybody from school tries to, you get recruited to a college, everybody thinks they're the best,
Right.
So everybody walks around with this arrogant attitude, but it takes somebody like, with the Scout team to work hard essentially, and prove why you're there, right? A lot of folks love to talk, but who can prove why they're there, why they belong, why they deserve to be on that playing field competing against seniors, that have been there for 4 years.
And that's what makes the team better, though.
That's what makes the team better, right? And so it's all about team. So after Lebanon Valley, as I said, I went to Marywood University. My master's is in clinical psychology. So through that, with the Psychological Services Center, I juggled a caseload and client load of, roughly 25 to 30 individuals I saw every week.
Okay, so you have been in regular casework through psychology.
Yeah, through my master's program. But at the same time, to work my way through graduate school, because we were poor, right? And, I was first generation. I was the only kid in my family to ever go to college.
Nice.
The only one to ever graduate, of course, from college. My brother and sister weren't that lucky. My parents weren't that lucky. My dad was is a truck driver. Mom still works in an office. You just didn't need it back then.
Right.
So navigating college was, tedious, right? So it's a lot of trial and error, learn along the way.
Yes, sir.
And you get that, right?
Yes, sir.
So that was good. But when I was at Marywood, I also worked for St. Joseph's Center. So I worked with adults with developmental disabilities. So I worked overnights there. I worked
as a patient care specialist.
Patient care specialist.
Did my homework.
I don't even know where the stuff is. Is it online somewhere?
Online.
Is it? I'm sure it is.
Like I said, I did my homework.
Yeah, I hate to see what else is out there.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. But then I also, one of my other prouder achievements, actually, and everybody laughs at me for this, is so I push shopping carts every morning. But then I won Employee of the Quarter one time. And I said, Employee of the Quarter pushing shopping carts? I was like, that's pretty cool.
I mean, that's just like rewarding the janitor for just keeping everything together.
Absolutely. But I also go back to being able to push shopping carts, talking to random folks in stores and, may I get your shopping cart, like taught me so much, about interacting with people.
Helps you be a better people person.
It does. And so that kind of like all those experiences little by little by little, like working at St. Joseph Center and seeing adults with developmental disabilities and seeing, how fortunate I was and we are, working with, shopping carts and learning about social interaction, and then working at the Psychological Services Center. And so on top of all that, you mentioned a little bit earlier, the semi-pro piece. So I had a little time on my hands and needed to juggle everything. So I went into semi-pro during that time too. Football for a few years there. And then finally I came here. So at 24, my first job, I applied to one job, I got one job. I came in at 24 years old here as the Associate Director of Institutional Research, which I had to look up what it was before I applied. Again, not from college, so I had no idea. So I interviewed well, got the position, the institution took a chance on me, and that's really mainly statistics. So, and then from there, every year I think I've taken on more responsibility up to the current vice president role.
Before here, you didn't teach.
No.
No. Wow.
I didn't teach. I never had a full-time job before here. This was my first one. And, again, life is funny like that.
That is. And most people higher up in the hierarchy, they would taught years.
Yeah.
Had papers published, had, all these things. And here you are talking about, I came on at 24. They took a chance on me, and look, hey, I did it the unconditional way.
But that's what I'm saying. You work hard for something. You want something hard enough. It's like being on a football field. It's like being in life in general. It's being in any job. It's being a good, husband, family member, a good dad, good father. You work hard at something. I'm a huge believer. You work hard enough, like good things will come, man.
Right.
You just gotta, wait, bide your time a little bit. And the biggest thing is, and I tell this to my kids, I tell this to everybody, every experience you should learn something from, right? And so folks that don't learn something from their experiences are missing out, man.
Oh, yeah.
So this institution kind of raised me as much as like my hometown did, I've learned so much from all the faculty and staff members here. Now I'm on national boards and state boards, and I review other colleges for accreditation, which you probably have in your notes somewhere.
That's in here too.
Yeah.
It was gonna come up too.
Yeah. So I do all that, but I mean, like I said, I started from, I started just that, I didn't even know where this place was at first, and it was, 40 minutes from my house.
Right.
So.
And you're forever busy. I don't think you ever breathe in the same spot twice in 2 seconds because you're forever running.
Right.
And as the vice president, your job is so much, but you love the student engagement to the point where you will, I know I got this meeting, but what's up, what you need?
Yeah.
And is that like one of the highlights of your day? Because I guess I would say it breaks up the monotony of the business end.
I mean, on the student engagement piece, and we've known each other a while, and I know most of the students on this campus personally at this point, right?
Yeah.
So, I think folks, like, we need that. I need that. You need to remember sometimes why we're here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I worked, and you could read about it if you haven't already. I worked with folks that were 15 years old that graduated from this institution, and I supported them throughout their careers. I got to still get invited to their birthday parties or graduation parties and all of that. And then I worked with, I'm working to finish a student right now who's 96 years old, and he'll be walking across the stage this spring. So yeah, it's amazing. So, I mean, that's what we're here. Right, that's what we're doing. Like all the monotony of like, okay, because I oversee all the state and federal report over
$5 million in grants you've gotten for this place.
It's been yes, it has. Yeah, found that too. So yeah, so between the grants and between all that, but it's for a purpose, right?
Right.
Like it all comes together, and then what it comes together as is seeing students like yourself walking across that stage. That's why I do it. That's why I'm out there, hitting home runs off a mat and wiffle ball, so.
Or ducking flag football tournaments. But we're not going to speak on that.
Yeah.
Meetings come up.
We'll forget the flag football tour.
That's okay. There's a basketball tournament coming up.
Yeah, but you're lucky I wasn't on the field.
Hey, that's neither here nor there now. And I've been to other schools, other universities, and to be honest, you wouldn't know who their president and vice president was, because they're not really walking around and hitting dingers in the grass, in between meetings, or trying to come out for flag football, and it's just like, oh, we're busy, we got this, and we got that, and you're sitting here talking about, I know I got this, but these people, they come first.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, and this is one thing that I'm so happy about, my psychology doctorate degree, along the way has just taught me, we as humans have the ability to prioritize things, right? It's not so much that's what separates humans, right, from animals, is that we have higher cognitive functioning. So we're not always worried about food or worried about this, but we're able to prioritize things and juggle things. And, as an administrator, students are my number one priority. So they always go first. I'll be in the middle of a meeting or in the middle of a report where I know it's like, okay, I'm going to be here till 8 o'clock, but I'm still going to go see that student who's having a problem, whether it's their class, whether they ran out of gas, whether they're, I've helped students who are homeless, get hotel rooms, for a night or two. We're able to support, I'm able to, and we as an institution are able to support students through their academics and their personal lives.
Right.
And that prioritization needs to happen across the entire higher education sector, not just this college, but you should know who the president and vice president are. That's one of the reasons I love teaching classes here too. I get to teach, 2 or 3 classes a semester. I hear directly from the students what's going on. I get to see them in that light. I get to see them, fist bump them in the hallway, say, buddy, get that homework turned in.
Right. When you came in, you applied, was teaching on your mind then? Or did that come on later on as something that you look, yes, I have this job, but student engagement needs to be more?
Yeah. So teaching wasn't part of the role at all. Probably when I applied here, there was a very big separation between administration slash staff, I'll call it, and faculty and teaching, adjunct full-time faculty teaching. And what we've been trying to do is blend those lines a little bit, so that wasn't on my mind at all. Professor Deb Lanza, took a shot at me at teaching a foundation section. I've gotten to know Deb throughout my time, and
Foundations of Psychology?
Foundations of Success at first.
Foundation of Success, okay.
Yep, so that very entry level, getting students to transition from high school into college. And I think all students are required to take, they are all required to take it in most of our programs here. And so I got to talk to students about being a first generation kid. And, it's okay. The stats are stacked against us, but, that's even more of a motivation, get our butts in the gear.
Right.
We're able to, we're able to do things our parents weren't able to do, or our families in general. And so I got to talk to students on that sort of level of guys, I get it. I was just there. I'm working on my PhD now. I'm still getting it. I still don't know everything. I was like, so if you have a question, I'll find it out. I was like, and so that experience kind of just, sprungboard me into everything else now. So, yeah, I'm excited by it.
You made a statement, and I've even why? Foundations of Success.
Yeah.
Why is it that every student that comes through here needs to take it, no matter if they're a non-traditional, like myself, or a veteran student? Because just the veterans,
absolutely.
Basic training is our foundations of success per se.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why would we want to waste money on a class we don't need because we've already done it?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was put into place before I came here. And throughout the years, we've taken a less hard stance on that lately. regarding having prior experience and you being able to sub another course in for it, perhaps. Like say you want to take a sports broadcasting class or something, you'd be able to take that instead of foundations now. But I will say that the value of foundations is beyond just the transition. Because even as a veteran student, you also, I would imagine, I'll speak for you a little bit maybe, in that, transitioning to college from the armed forces is difficult, right?
Like, it's very difficult.
And so that transition course helps with that, So whether, you're Joe Schmo with 45 years experience in automotive, transitioning to college with life experience is still difficult. Being an 18-year-old kid, it's still difficult. So, there's a rapper who said, I don't know who it is, but everybody's got their own trap, everybody's got their own game, right? So your challenges are different than my challenges. As a first generation, snot-nosed 18-year-old kid going to college and like, oh, by the way, take this placement test and good luck.
Right.
I didn't know that was on the docket. And then, or you transitioning from the armed forces into the college, just like the word matriculation and the word degree seeking. Like, that's not stuff you throw around in the armed forces, right? So like even the basic terminology. So that course has been helpful in the past with supporting students as they're transitioning to just be that anchor course to help students, be better. And we've tracked the students who have taken foundations and not taken foundations because I oversee data. So, and we find out that the students that take foundations end up are being retained and complete much better, almost double than those students that don't take foundations. So the institution itself has taken that data and we've kind of turned it around to say like, look, it's successful here. But if a student really doesn't want to take it and they have, good reasons for, it's also, this is your education, this is your money. We try to help, we meet everybody where they are. We treat students how they want to be treated, kind of thing. So we're never going to come down from the top and say, this is the almighty that says you must do this.
Right.
We'll be, we work with students.
Yes, sir.
So,
with Sussex County Community College being a unique college in itself, because both of us being sports guys, there's a lot of sports here.
Mm-hmm.
Was that like that? I know football just got here.
Yep.
There's football just came, volleyball just got here,
wrestling. Yep, wrestling's new. We had men and women's lacrosse. Women's lacrosse kind of waned due to roster sizes in the high schools. Women's wrestling starts next year.
Nice.
So that's going to be popular, and we're hoping to add golf in the next few years as well too here. So that wasn't like that, as you could imagine.
Right.
We were very isolated in terms of, and we're a young college, so, other colleges are much older than we are. We were only established in the late 80s, right when I was born, actually, in 90. So
you're not going to speak on age on this.
Yeah. So
I'm an 87 baby. You was graduating high school and I was fighting wars. So
yeah, I know, and I respect everything.
Oh,
you know that.
Yeah.
But so we were a young college, but also, we were a traditional athletics school. Everybody in our region did baseball. Everybody did softball. Everybody does basketball. Everybody does soccer. Those traditional sports. So the institution, Dr. Connolly, myself, a few other folks, really kind of took a stance on athletics being a driver for student success, right? And I'll give football as a great example. I did a survey last year of all of our, football team, all of our football members, and, a lot of them came here to play football, right?
Right, and we've only gotten better a few years. It's
absolutely
this last season, best season in school history.
Best season in school history. Only 3 years in, we just missed a bowl bid by one vote.
One vote
would have been the youngest team in the history of the NJCAA to make a bowl game. So, and we still have a few years to go for that. So we're still shooting for that. But football is fantastic, and I'm a football guy. So football is fantastic. Winning records are fantastic. Seeing folks walk across that stage that never would have come to college if it wasn't for that football being that carrot for these kids, or any sport. When I was a kid at 18 years old, I didn't care what program I was moving into. academically. I cared about playing football, but what I learned along the way was more valuable than anything, and so it's the same with these kids. When I surveyed a lot of them, they never would have went to college at all.
Right. Oh.
They never would have went to college if it wasn't for this. So,
and I graduated in 06. I didn't even know what community college was.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember, it was go to college or go to the military.
Yeah.
And of course, 9/11 happened. Mm-hmm. As soon as I was told I couldn't go to college,
right there.
beeline to the military.
Yeah.
And seeing kids around here now is like, let's, help each other out, because just like you, at your young age, doing everything you've done coming up through the community, mm-hmm. is to help somebody, it's to help other people.
Absolutely. In the grand scheme of things, we're all we got, right?
It's all we got. We all of our one of one. And
absolutely, man. And all of us together, supporting one another, whether it's students making me a better professor, a better administrator, and me helping students be better people, achieve what they want to educationally or career-wise, that's it, man.
That's what you do the best that you can do to help the next person, because we all got to eat at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Why are we going to be the only ones at the table when the table big enough for everybody to eat?
And that's it. And so when you think about just spinning the conversation back to athletics, like when you think about athletics, these kids, these students, they might not have known this life. They might not have known college at all, especially community college, or the only thing they might have been is they're recruited by private 4-year colleges where tuition's $50,000 a year or something like that. And they're coming out saddled with debt for $200,000, all because they didn't want to take the helmet and shoulder pads off. Right. It's ridiculous. So the best thing we could have done is to continue fostering athletics. And then on top of that, similar to any sort of club or activity, athletics becomes a bonding. You bond with your brothers, you bond with, your team members essentially, and you hold each other accountable and you succeed together or you sing together.
Right.
And so keeping, teams together, you look at any team sport, the retention rates are so much better of students staying with it because they have that support system naturally through sports.
And, speaking of sports, with the football team, I'm even talking to some of the players. They're using this as a springboard because Sussex County is like the only D1 JUCO school in the state, and they're using this like, okay, well, y'all weren't recruiting me then. Well, here's my tape now. And I know there's one or two kids talking about going to Duke University because of being able to come here.
We just sent 6 kids to Syracuse University that were recruited from us. And what it's also an opportunity for, it's a chance for kids to start over.
Right.
You may have messed around in high school. You may have had some problems going on. College is kind of closing the chapter of the high school, opening the college chapter and rewriting who you are. Whether that's academically, you could have a 1.3 high school GPA.
This guy?
You could somehow go to college, get into an open access community college. You can get a 4.0. One of my boys, I call all the football my boys, he's playing in Michigan right now. You know what I mean? He had a 1.5 GPA. He graduated Sussex with a 3.67 GPA in computer science major. I'm like, dude, where was this in high school? He goes, I didn't really care that much. He goes, now I care though. And he's playing football in Michigan for a D2 school, And he was a South Jersey kid who was inner city and never would have gone anywhere else. And so that was such a cool story to hear. And so it's about expanding opportunities for these students and letting them know that there's life beyond their little hometown sometimes.
Yeah, because I've even given the example. I hated high school.
Yeah.
To the point where poor Cory wasn't that great.
Yeah.
GPA was in the dirt. Ooh, bad. And now I'm sitting here waiting to see if I make the Dean's List for a second time.
It's fantastic.
So just be able to start over and do the right things to be able to move on. It's been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we're here for, right? We're here for a springboard for folks in life. We're here for a springboard in folks, educational wise, career wise. We kind of have a comprehensive offerings for whatever you want to do.
Right. So circling back to your upbringing, because I love the small town, small town kids. We all, Do you think being part of the volunteer fire department, dive master, coaching baseball and football, do you think that's what's helped you also come along and not having to go that traditional way through the ranks of teaching and leading you to your position today?
Absolutely. I mentioned it earlier. Every experience you have is an opportunity, right? Professor Rich Linden in his last lecture mentioned something that really speaks to me and how I've kind of gone through life is that, as we walk through life, doors present themselves, right?
Right.
Being able to walk through that door and saying yes, opens you to a whole new world of opportunities. Closing that door and saying, no, I'll take the next door, doesn't work, because that next door might not come. So I've always taken the stance of any opportunity, I take it, which is overtaxing. And I thank my wife for putting up with a lot of it, and the kids. But I've always take every opportunity. And because of all those opportunities, I feel that I'm so well-rounded because I can do this, I can do that, I can do this and do that. And I'm almost like the institution's utility player right now for baseball, right? You could play shortstop, you could play first base, center field, wherever, because of all those experiences from my hometown upbringing. Pike County, where I'm from, Pennsylvania, we don't have a college, right? So there's no college opportunities there at all. So if it wasn't for football, who knows if I would have left,
All right.
So, but again, circling back, all those opportunities just make you a better person, better human being. And I tell kids all the time, students, go volunteer, go try something new. There's no such thing as failing because you learn something from it, right? The only failing you could get is if you feel that you're too good for something, or you can't learn from a certain situation.
Right.
That's when you fail.
Failure is not trying, period.
Bingo.
Because you got to learn the first time. Yeah, you may not get it the first time.
Absolutely.
Understandable.
Absolutely.
But keep doing it. Keep doing it, because then by the third or fourth time, you could have mastered it.
Absolutely. And there's a phenomenon in psychology, learned helplessness, right? Mm-hmm. Which is where folks, just give up. And I get it, right? Life's hard. There's, when it rains, it pours isn't just the saying.
And there's some holes in the umbrella, and
that's it, But grit with, from Angela Duckworth and a few of these folks, it's true, right? Do you have the tenacity and do you have the grit and self-efficacy in yourself to continue on or not, right?
Right.
And those that are able to move on through situations, you look and, they're scarred up, man. They've gone through some stuff, but they're better for it.
And, and also, but those scars, those battle scars, those, you never know, because even growing up, I love history.
Yeah.
So talking to my grandparents, almost any older person about history.
Yeah.
Because those scars will continue to show themselves down the road. And sometimes you got to have somebody who knows how to heal them.
Absolutely.
From the conversations me and you've had over the years, it's like we both just want to make this place better than what we found it.
And, I speak to folks all the time, and it's it's sad to say sometimes, but this college, like my hometown, this area, right? It's going to continue after we leave, right? Mm-hmm. There comes a point where we're here for a time period. So whether it's my tenure, your tenure here at this college, we're here for a certain amount of time. I don't know what that time is. I know time is for you. I don't know what time is for me, but, and it's the same with mayor. How much can you get done in your 4-year term? And then, if you're lucky enough to get another year term after that, right?
Right.
So how much can you accomplish? How much can you set the future, administration or college up for success? You know what I mean? It's like with generations, right? When you move on to generations chronologically, I was, like I said, I'm first generation, so now I raised the bar for my kids, right?
Right.
And then hopefully the kids take that and raise the bar further for their kids, right? And hopefully that continues building, and that's all we're here for, right? Is in that limited time to do what we can to support the future. So that's kind of what we've been doing is just, I'm sure you felt it. There's a lot of changes happening, and a lot of positive, some negative, and the negative, we've ended up turning them into positives because they're opportunities.
But with change, you got to try. You got to try, and if it doesn't work, but at least we tried.
Absolutely.
And with all the changes, like a phoenix, you rise from the ashes, stronger, and you drive on. And just being here on all the programs that I've seen just expand is just like, okay, I mean, at least, things are still, nothing is being stagnant. And, with being stagnant, there also is the money aspect because everybody knows you can't do nothing without money. Mm-hmm. And we all know this place is stingy when it comes to money. And you've been able to finagle and get, like we've said, over $5 million in grants, but that's only a little small piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And then here now in the future, we're getting dorms.
Mm-hmm. That's in discussion now. Yeah.
So there's always, things going forward.
Yes.
So how do you feel, with the money aspect of everything in the county, they're always
right. Everybody's tight, everybody's tight. The county's tight. We're tight as a college. The state's, tight to their extent. It's tough, and it was the foundation of my dissertation. Actually, a part of it was that, we're an open access community college, right? Now, follow me for a second. Open access community college. Anybody can walk through the door with after high school and be successful, right? So, but each student that walks through the door comes with a set of variables, whether they need extra help in this, whether they can't afford this. 4-year colleges, essentially, you're able to pick, your classes. You're able to pick what variables you accept in,
right?
Because you're able to, you're not open access. You have, standards that, they need to have a 2.5 GPA. So now we're not worried about them in math tutoring or whatever, what have you,
right.
But, when you look at it across the nation, community college are less funded than the 4-year universities, and we have more variables to deal with, right? So it's almost like a recipe for disaster, essentially. And what it does is it takes, certain folks that work in the community college sector to be creative and innovate, right? Which is what we've done. So anything that we've wanted to do, let's look at all the new technology in all the classrooms, right? Like you probably feel it. I mean, the pull down screens are gone and for the most part, and we're moving in, but that's all from grant money, right? So anything that I've wanted to do or we've wanted to do as an institution, we got to be creative on where the funds are coming from because we ain't got it,
Right.
So we've been able to, let's go after that grant. Let's write this grant. Some of us here till 9, 10 o'clock at night sometimes, doing this. But then when you get to see it on the other end, the students walk in like, wow, this is nice. I almost want to be like, yep.
Yeah, because I've seen, growing up, here we go. Here we go. Chalkboards, teachers get too loud, they scratching the nails with the pull down projector screen, teacher in the middle.
Yeah.
So now dry erase boards are a thing in high school. Yeah. And I'll go back to college and now we have smart boards.
Yeah.
And now smart board in the TV.
That's right. I mean, everything essentially, the new technology in the rooms essentially adds a new dynamic to teaching. And the whole dynamic of teaching is to help better learning.
Right.
You know, students today, and as you know, one, you know, the research on learning styles is real. You know, you get some kinesthetics learners that need to learn with their hands. You get some that visual, they need to see it. You get some that need to hear it. You know, you put a kinesthetic learner in a room and you put a straight lecture, how do you think that's going to turn out?
Oh, they're going to sleep.
They're going to sleep. So, and they're going to end up failing that class. So by having the new technology and the new equipment that's funded through grants, not through our normal operating budget, you know, from the county or the state or, you know, student tuition, essentially, we're able to be creative about it and find other money. You know, we're able to help support faculty in teaching in those different styles, make it interactive, make students go to the board. You know, now, you know, you could throw a presentation up from your phone onto the board by just a swipe of a button. You know,
Yeah, you can.
you know, so like all of that essentially is to keep students engaged and to keep students learning. You know, our student body is so different than it was even just 10 years ago. You know, students are more anxious than they've ever been. Their attention spans are shorter than they've ever been. You know, so we have to be creative in how we get that message across to them because, you know, especially for my role as Vice President of Student Success, you know, like in the title, my number one job is student success and making sure students are successful. You know, every single FIC is a missed opportunity for that student and this institution. You know, every student who doesn't graduate is a loss for us as an institution and me personally, right? Like high achieving folks and institutions, you know, it's great. We're doing a great job. You know, it could always be better.
And everything can always be better.
It can, but what happens is if you get folks that are complacent about getting better, that's when we fail.
Right.
So we always continuous quality improvement in this institution. We are always moving forward. Every student that drops out is a loss on our record, and you know we take it on the chin. And it's like, what could we have done? You know,
right.
So, and you know, I get all the directors together. We'll spend an hour talking about one student, you know, and say, how do we get through to this kid? You know, what, you know, is it this, is it that, is it this, is it that? And we'll chat and we'll figure it out.
That's dedication.
It is. And I mean, at this place, I've never seen a more dedicated group of staff members and faculty members that are here to support our students.
With the student success, how involved are you? And I've seen you at some of the groups, but like, how involved are you with the student groups as a whole around the school?
The student clubs, you mean?
Yeah, the student clubs.
The student clubs. So yeah, I oversee campus life here, as you probably know.
Right.
And all the clubs come out of campus life. So I go, SGA will invite me in and say, they'll invite me in to either first ask a question or ask their slew of questions that they've heard from other clubs. Or clubs in general. I'll take a look at, let's take an example of American Sign Language Club, right? So, the students were petitioning out of the club for Sign Language 3. We haven't offered Sign Language 3 at this institution in probably 5 to 10 years. I don't know exactly, but like 5 to 10 years. The students were really on top of it, petitioned. So I would meet with the president from time to time and say, well, how about this? How about this? How about this? We would troubleshoot together, get creative. Thanks to Dr. OK in Academic Affairs, they offered the class now, and that's fostering and supporting student initiatives. Is what we want to do.
Yeah, you definitely push student initiatives. You definitely push that.
Yeah, we try to, and there's something about of a student idea, turning that idea into fruition and actually seeing the administration, the VPs, and the president.
Oh, I see it in your eyes all the time when we speak definitely on the basketball tournament, which free plug. Here we go. Yeah. The basketball tournament we got coming up in March. When we speak on that, you're just like, yes.
Let's go, man. Like I said, if you have an idea as a student, let's see where it goes, man.
Right.
Like, what's the worst that could happen? And I know it's a bad thing, and I'll knock on wood to say it, but the worst thing that could happen is to not try it at all, right? Like we said. So in everything, you've seen us, any idea students have had. I think we entertain the idea of the, the haunted schoolhouse we were going to do in
Hey, that
D-Ville.
was a good idea, though. Just needed more time.
Absolutely. So you're coming back in the fall. We'll get it done.
I won't be back in the fall, but we're hoping the idea stays. We've been talking about your vice president role here at the school. Let's take that hat off.
Okay.
Let's put the mayor hat on. What made you in the first place want to come back and run for mayor?
So when I came back to Matamoros, I ran for school board at Delaware Valley. And did it on a flyer. I thought that I was a recent grad. I had a master's education. I was working for a college. Just made a lot of sense to be able to plug into the board. I won.
Was that a surprise that you won?
Well, to me it is. Other folks, they say it wasn't. So I don't know. I never count my chickens before they hatch. So I always make sure that everything is tied up with a nice little bow on elections and stuff. So so I ran for school board. Like I said, I was past vice president, past president. Went through 8 years, and 8 years is a good term. 4 years is a term essentially. So I ran 2 terms. And I also, new ideas, changes aren't bad in certain realms. So, and so after I decided, I was like, I'm going to step away from this. What do I want to do? I want to do something with the town. So Janet Clark, who was the previous mayor, I had reached out to her. She had just turned 84, I think. So I'd reached out to...
She's still young.
Yeah, trust me, I know. So I'd reached out to Janet and I said, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And she said, listen, if you want to do it, I'll support you 100%. So I had her, blessing. And in a small town, we all know each other.
Right.
There's something about, my kids, and we spoke a little bit earlier before the show started, about, my kids need to come home when the lights turn on, the street lights come on, or if they're late, I know they're late, not by when they're there, but by how many phone calls I get from neighbors saying they saw, Lily or Billy or Scarlett running up the street to get to the house, And like, did you know that they're out, but, like the police officer, like knowing all the police officers by first names or knowing the fire department, that small town feeling, man, is just like, there's nothing like it. And so, when the mayor opportunities showed up and the terms lined up, which again, life is funny, like where everything kind of just matches up nicely, I just threw my hat into the ring and said, I lived here my whole life. I went away. I got an education. I'm working locally here for an educational institution. Let's see what happened. So, ran for mayor, ran on a platform essentially of, coming back to the community, taking, like you mentioned, that grant writing experience, because Matamoros is as cash-strapped as this institution, any small town is, so, grants and other opportunities, being creative, that's kind of what I do with creativity and innovation. So I wanted to bring that to the town. And so that was my real driver for mayor, and, raising kids in your same town and wanting to have a say in what that town looks like and preserving what you grew up in, is the key. So
being the first new mayor of Matamoros in 12 years.
Yes.
How big of a shoe that you have to fill, because the town knew one thing for over a decade, and now here you are coming in young, full of new ideas. I mean, obviously they love it, and you got voted, you won.
Yeah.
But how does that, as a person, how do you feel? Because like I said, 12 years, those are some mighty shoes to fill.
And I wouldn't say so much as it is about the previous mayor, as much as it is my age gets in the way sometimes. So, the only reason I lost the number of votes were, he's too young. He can't do it. And we've heard that our whole lives, right?
Right.
They're too young. They can't do it. What are they doing being mayor? So you hear that from time to time. So I would say that those are the bigger shoes to fill. And the bigger shoes about, like, it's not all talk. And you know me, like, listen, we'll talk and we'll spitball ideas, but, every idea we come up with that we decide to move on turns into action.
Right.
And we do something with it, no matter how small of an idea it is. And so that was the bigger shoes to fill in the town, is just saying to folks, like, listen, I know, and I admit it, I don't know everything. I was like, but what I can do is I know how to connect people. I know how to network. I'm not afraid to reach out to our neighbors in Port Jervis, New York, and be like, guys, can we borrow the street sweeper? I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of creative idea solving. You see whiteboards all over my office. We'll sit here, we'll throw ideas up on the whiteboard. Community involvement, communication, that's what I'm about. And so that's the toughest thing to do. But again, it's a breath of life. Madam Morris, not that it was stagnant, but it was almost stagnant. I'd say, some of the things I found out, when I was growing up, I was like, well, why can't this change? When I was, 15 years old, 16 years old, like, why can't this change? And I learned that some things never changed because it was work for folks. They would say, they would blame it on, well, it's the state, or it's the feds, or it's this, or it's that. And a lot of it was because they didn't want to do the work,
Most people.
But now it's like, we're going to do it. If it's good for the town, good for the residents, good for my family, good for everyone, then like, it's a little extra work. Everything is work. I'm sorry,
right.
But
right.
Again, it comes down to what you'd mentioned earlier. Where do your priorities lie? What are you going to be remembered for? You know what I mean? Are you a blip on the radar, or did you do something meaningful? And I know it's morbid, but I think about it all the time of like, when you do die, what are people going to say?
What is your history going to be?
What's your obituary look like?
Right.
Is it 4 lines? Right? Like, that's a big thing, So, because we have one life,
right?
So just filling those shoes and doing these things, and knowing and understanding that you're really here for a set amount of time, whether that's in life or whether it's in a certain role, and taking advantage of every opportunity is really what it comes down to. So, back to the shoes filling, I'm not worried about it. I just know that I know myself. I know that I work hard. I know I have a great support cast around me with my family. And my neighbors and the new families in the town, and even the older residents, getting
right.
them involved.
How do you think your age was actually, because you said you lost a few votes.
Yeah.
But obviously, that's going to happen.
Yep, absolutely.
But then you have the other half of the spectrum that's like, so?
Yep.
And how do you think your message of the communication and, yo, guys, look, we can bring this together.
Absolutely.
Do you think that's what helped you? Over.
Yeah. I mean, it's, really, mayor is about, forming new ideas and honoring the traditions and what used to happen, right? And continues to happen. It's not forgetting the past, but it's, honoring it and doing something about it and moving it forward, right? Folks before me built the town. Right.
Right.
They built this place. There was a time where the streets never existed. Somebody had to have done that, know? And so it's like building and stacking on all those things and moving forward. And, I'd say that, being mayor already, new social media channels have been established already. That's never been done before from the mayor's office. I have emails and communications and phone calls and meetings scheduled with, our local elementary school to visit all the students there to teach them about local government and being a mayor and how to get involved and how to volunteer. I have that same setup with the, the pre-K and daycare for the students to get to meet the mayor. I'm going to make up little stickers. Little deputy mayor stickers, get them involved. And then on the other end of the spectrum, as much as it is, I'm visiting the senior homes and getting to hear the residents' thoughts. Some of them can't leave the facilities, so I still
right.
want to hear their thoughts. So
right.
I'm going to host teas with them, get to hear their thoughts, get to hear ideas, what the place used to look like. I'm sure I'll hear, and, how do we preserve that as well as move the place forward? And then I'll be doing more generalized, electronic surveys to all residents, which is my bailiwick, and you probably get 5 of them a semester. So, electronic surveys as well as focus groups with our general citizens, and residents. Like one of the things I'm working on now, it's been a week, so give me some time. One of the things I've been working on is a new resident, handbook and a new resident packet to write a letter from the mayor's office saying, welcome to our beautiful town. Why don't you try having lunch at Chrissy's Deli? Why don't you try having breakfast or dinner at the grill? Why don't you go to Stewie's for lunch? All these things. Hey, you need your tire changed. This is where you go in town. You have a question about the park. This is who you reach out to. And if you have any questions, here's my cell phone number. Give me a call, dude, or walk to my address. Here's where I live. This place.
I don't think you get that in many small towns.
You don't get that anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think I've lived in some small towns. I don't think I've ever.
But think about how hard that is to move into a town, not know anything about it, and just trying to find stuff on Google. You're going off of Yelp reviews more than anything else.
Moving up here, I knew nothing.
Yeah.
Right, and I still know nothing, but it's hard.
It is.
It's really hard, and to get a letter from the mayor saying, "Hey, try these places out," I would be like, I would actually do that.
And then in the grand scheme of things, it helps support our local businesses, that are all family run in our town, right?
Right,
and
but
so
it sounds like to me you're going to be doing the same running around there like you do here. Like,
not a lot changes.
Nothing's going to change. Except there you get to do it with the kids. Like, come on, y'all can tag along this time.
Oh, listen, they know already. So the kids have been, the kids help shovel out our fire hydrants around town and shovel my neighbors. They're down whether they like it or not, helping me wash the fire trucks, the fire department,
anything
and the
to help
boats.
out though.
And again, it's teaching them give back to your community.
And that goes back to your roots, like you're teaching, but you volunteered. Did you have any time as a kid to have fun, or was that your fun? Because
well, I mean, it is fun, and
right.
Building forts and things like that is fun. I did all that, but being part of something larger than yourself, giving back to the community, it was great, and like I said, and I come back to this, at the end of the day, we're all we got. If volunteer fire departments, I hate to see volunteer fire departments closing due to a lack of volunteers. There's capable people, I promise you, and there's people with time, as busy as everybody in the world says they are. Priorities and being able to regulate yourself to say, you know what, I don't need to binge watch Suits again. Why don't I go down and volunteer my time at a food pantry or the fire station, learn something new, man? Like why folks are their own worst enemies when it comes to time management, because everybody, I promise, everybody says, I'm busy. I'm overworked. Yeah, that's it. I don't have time for that. And I'm like, I kind of want to. Yes, you do. Like,
how many episodes you just watched?
That's what I mean. And I was like, and I get the whole self-care thing. I get it, and I practice self-care. I'm at the gym every single morning, and that's kind of like my self-care, and then hiking with the kids and things like that. And I get 8 hours of sleep a night. So
I'm glad you get 8 hours.
But that's it's all possible.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's all juggling. You juggle, you find out what balls you're juggling. Are they rubber? Will they bounce up if they hit the ground? Or some glass where they hit the ground and you're in trouble?
Right.
So
what are some of your goals as mayor, just to see? Because the town can only grow so much in 4 years. Of course,
absolutely.
We all understand that. But what are some of your goals, just to see for yourself, or even for let's go for yourself and the town? Yeah,
so I have a few. And I didn't have these questions beforehand, so bear with me.
And that's the love of this. So, because if you had the questions beforehand, you can be sitting there talking about, oh, yeah, I'm going to know what I'm going to say. But not knowing exactly when the question is coming is the joy, because she's like, wait, you want me to talk about goals? Yeah, you're right. We're going to talk about some goals. Absolutely. And we're going to get the real ones too.
So I have a few. My first one is communication. Where my town is, a lot of folks run their private social media, pages, and that's where you find out about garbage and all the questions they have, and everybody throws in answers, and there was no official official communication from the town. The town never really sends electronic surveys out. So the communication piece wasn't lacking, which we're already making great strides at. The engagement piece. There's a number of folks in town that can be engaged in whether it's this committee or that committee or helping out with the Christmas tree lighting, help me decorate or help us as a town in the heart of Matamoros nonprofit group, help decorate the Christmas trees along the avenue that we got donated from the fire department. So communication, engagement, fostering more small business, trying to keep small family businesses around. That's not the easiest thing in today's world.
No, it's not.
So as much as we can do as a town to help foster that and support our neighbors who run these businesses is really where we need to go. So between those three things, is extremely helpful. I think it helps create a legacy. It helps the sense of community that small towns have. Like I mentioned, the new mover packet or information letter. I'm going out to folks that I know just moved to town and said, hey, you just moved here. What would you love to see in this packet? You know what I mean? It's enough for me to say, this is what you need. It's enough to hear it from somebody that just did it. It's one of the reasons why we do so many student surveys. I could say until the cows come home, this is going to be good for you. You should do this. If the students don't believe it's a great idea and they don't want to do it, good luck. That's why we take all this feedback from students and that's our direction, right? That's our compass, essentially. We take the feedback, we throw in some of our thoughts regarding what we could do from a budget standpoint, facilities, etc. So the engagement piece is huge, and overall it creates a better product, essentially, whether that product be education, whether that product be community engagement. So I think working together on that, helps everybody, So.
Is Matamoros growing, or there's still a lot of room for it to grow?
So Matamoros is kind of landlocked. So Matamoros is landlocked in terms of buildable lots and how much we can build, but it can't grow physically, but it could grow in terms of community and pride, right?
Right.
So, one of the things I love seeing is, I love it, and it's good and bad, right? I love hearing that folks, like there's a waiting list of folks to get into Matamoros. Like the realtors don't have enough inventory.
There's a waiting list to move into your town?
Yes. So the realtors keep a list of folks that have expressed interest in Matamoros and are waiting for houses to hit the market. They're on the list like 1 to 2 or 3 days. There's been cash offers from folks that have never visited the house before because they know it would have been gone if they didn't do an offer.
Oh, wow.
So like it's so exciting. And I mean, we're positioned as a town. We're right along the beautiful Delaware River that won the cleanest river in America 2 years ago. Kayaking and boating and fishing and tubing. And, like I said, that's one of the reasons I do diving now is because I know that river like the back of my hand. I've been through every single inch of that river from Berryville, New York to Bushkill, PA. I know every inch of it. This is why I came back to give back, in terms of helping these folks, So
I didn't even know y'all had all that. I'm there to go to Walmart quite a bit.
There's a life beyond Walmart, my friend.
I go to the Walmart and I go to the shop, right? Anything goes back there, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And ever since you became mayor, I'm like, man, I need to go back there and see what's up because before now that I've really had no reason to go over there.
I mean, when you look at like a place like Chrissy's Deli that's been around forever.
I love delis.
Best sandwiches in the world. You look at the Polar Bear ice cream. It's an old school ice cream parlor that's been around since the 1930s.
Do they still do the Coke syrup?
Oh, we do it all, man. They do it. They do it all.
Y'all heard that.
And I mean, you walk there, right? You could walk there. You walk to Chrissy's Deli. You walk to the Polar Bear. I get Liliana, my little 4-year-old daughter, and we go on a bike and we cross the Delaware Bridge into Port Jervis, New York for the farmers market. There's nothing more strategic about where Matamoros is located to make it one of the best small towns in America.
Are you saying that subjectively?
Kinda.
Okay. I mean, to each their own. I mean, you live there. Of course you're going to say.
I mean, from my qualitative research experience.
I mean, hey, you never know. People may go through there and be like, yo, you online. And I see why it's a waiting list.
It's beautiful. I mean, you know, I played football games at Airport Park. It's one of the biggest recreation areas in the tri-state area. And we have, you know, 5 baseball fields up there in elementary school, a soccer field, a football field, pickleball courts, tennis courts, basketball courts. It's such a fantastic recreation area, and you don't see things broken. You see people respecting things. Folks are down there volunteering their time. You know, one of the things this year we're going to be doing from the mayor's, one of the ideas I have is doing a day of giving back to Matamoros and back to the community. And I'll be inviting in Cub Scouts, local Cub Scouts, and the school district to folks that want to volunteer, come rake leaves, paint benches, you know, trim hedge, help us out. You know,
let me know when that is.
Right. It's like you want to be a part of something bigger.
Right.
You know, and so that's kind of what we're trying to instill. And by instilling it in the kids, you know, our hope is that one day, you know, maybe there's a few kids that go away, get an education, come back, and maybe there's a contested mayor race.
Right.
Right.
You know,
like,
I mean, like you said, you left, came back, and a lot of people don't realize, but going to see that outside world, given a different perspective, and then coming back, like, it helps because
absolutely, you only know what's in your little bubble, right? So unless you leave that bubble, you're like, man, the grass isn't greener on the other side.
Right.
You know, I'll tell you the first thing growing up in Matamoros, I was like, dang, I can't wait to leave. And then when you leave, you're like, dang, I can't wait to get back. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because I growing up in Tennessee, joining the Army, I was like, man, I can't wait to leave. I got out and I was clear across the country. And within 3 years, I'm like, can I go home now? So, yeah, oh, yeah.
That's exactly it. You can't wait, man.
Being the mayor, you got to do things one way.
Yeah.
And you got to come across that bridge to the college campus. And in today's age, how can you mix that? Because the campus could be a lightning rod.
Oh, yeah.
And it's quick to strike and catch fire. As a mayor, you know, you're looked at and people are going to be like, all right, this is how he see, you know, this is how we see him.
Yep.
College campus, vice president,
yep.
This is how we see him. How do you keep all that in a tight ball to be able to function?
Yeah, I mean, you know, one of the things is that, and you know this, we've known each other forever, it feels like, you know,
Yeah.
And the other students on this campus, you know, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you believe in, I don't care about any of that. I care about you as a person, I care about making you better. And if you can keep that constant, and it's the same with the mayor role, you know, there's a lot of symmetries between vice president work and student success and, you know, helping navigate certain groups in certain situations, as you see, you know, there's little fires that pop up all over. It's the same as a town, man. You know, little fires pop up, neighbors don't get along sometimes, you know, but, you know, at the end of the day, we're all in the same boat, right? And so it's being able to find constants and similarities amongst these folks and these groups and these clubs, you know, or neighbors, you know. And it's the same with, you know, nothing's more political than a volunteer fire department, right? You know, so nothing's more political than that, you know, and political not in terms of, you know, our bipartisan, you know, political, you know, United States elections, but political in terms of like, well, this one should have been the president this year. This one should be chief. This one should be, you know, so but amongst all of it, you know, one, don't burn bridges, right? It's simple. Never burn a bridge. You never know when you're going to ask for something. You're going to
cut a rope, but don't burn it.
That's exactly it, right? And sometimes cutting a rope saves your own sanity, you know. But then but don't burn it, right? That's the point. And then, you know, 2 is, you know, everybody's got their own battles. Everybody's dealing with their own thing. What you're dealing with is much different than probably what I'm dealing with. But do we each have battles? Absolutely.
Right.
You know, is it easy? No, for none of us it's easy. So it's not easy for any of us, you know, that we work through these things. You know, everybody has the variables going on in their lives, you know, whether it's a sick mom and dad or something, even if your dog has died or whatever the case is. when you interact with somebody, you never know what that person's dealing with. You can never stand in their shoes and truly understand what they're dealing with.
Very true.
And so I've always taken that, and I treat everybody, how they want to be treated, essentially. Like some of the folks, some of the, students we deal with, sometimes they need some tough love. Like, listen, your goal is to transfer. That's not happening. I was like, look at these grades. What are we going to do about it? And the other side is, supporting them through everything. Like, listen, I get it. Let's figure it out together. We'll work together. And they need a little bit more nurturing. But again, each individual's personality is different. You need to approach people differently. You need to support them differently. But again, the similarities between that and the mayor role, they're the same.
It sounds like it, because he's like, okay, yeah, it's a small little city town here because of college campus.
Yeah.
And then you go back to the town and it's like, well, almost dealing with almost the same thing.
It's almost the same thing. You hear people out. Everybody has ideas in the town. Everybody has ideas at the college. Some ideas you could do, some ideas you can't. We want to get as much feedback as we can from everybody, whether it's the community and the neighbors or whether it's the students here. So the similarities are and it's the same with a dive captain. It's the same thing. I hear from all my divers and boat operators and things like that. Well, why don't we do this? Let's give it a shot, see what happens.
Are you still the dive master?
Yep.
To this day, you still go out there?
Oh, absolutely. That's my sanity.
There's only 16 hours of good day.
It's juggling, man, and time management. You juggle and time manage. That's all we play. That's all we do. And you have a really great support network around you.
Do you still coach the football leagues? And
I have to. This is the first year I won't coach T-ball.
how does that feel?
Not good. Not good. But this is for the good of the team, given my schedule with everything else going on. So, but I'll be there supporting and helping them out as much as I can. You know what I mean? When I'm at a practice and they're short or something, I'll help out.
So you see the umpire, all that, you're going to have to take a break from due to just...
Yeah, and again, it's taking a break. It's, certain times in your life you need to take a step back in some areas to take stock, and you say, okay, like now that I'm juggling this, can I add something else right now, or will that be bad?
Right.
So, but you need that second of self-inflection to say, can I do that? Is that good? And does it hurt my family? And so, like I said earlier, I'm so lucky to have such a great wife. Tiffany's been fantastic. She's dealing with she's opening up a coffee shop,
nice.
Right in town. So she's down there.
Competing with Duncan, or?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Fight the man.
Hey, I'm
Fight the Duncan man.
One thing we really haven't touched on, and I really found it really interesting, is that you are a peer reviewer.
Yeah.
What does that entail? Because then also I know you accredit for other colleges.
Yeah, I'm a peer reviewer for the Middle States Commission on Higher Education. So there's a number of regional accreditors across the United States. The federal government essentially called a subcontract. It's not a subcontract, but essentially calls it a subcontract. And they allow these accrediting bodies to accredit colleges, which means that they're able to receive Title IV financial aid, which is your Pell grants and your grants from the federal government for financial aid. So I work with Middle States for 8 years now, and I go in and I look at their finances, I look at their student success rates, I look at their student engagement, I look at their assessment, I look at how they design programs, I look at all of it. Whether they're within their mission, whether they're sustainable. And I work with visiting teams of other educators within the field, and we come up with a report and a recommendation to the Middle States commissioners to say, we think this institution is doing fantastic, or this institution needs work, here's why. You always like when, things go smoothly, but also for the point of future generations, as we spoke about, in the future administration, the future students, sometimes you do need to nip some institutions in certain areas to get their act together. Maybe their student success rates are, abysmal, and they're not dedicating resources to supporting students, but they're dedicating resources to something else.
Right.
So, and we're able to make those recommendations. So really seeing the guts of another institution.
You actually led me into my next question. Does seeing some of the inner workings of some of the other colleges, universities, does that help you here try to make this a better place? Because now you actually get to see, okay, yeah, this is what and I know, yeah, that's definitely not working. If and
Yep.
you can see maybe an example of it here.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it in two ways it helps me. One is you definitely see the grass isn't greener on the other side.
Right.
When you go to these other institutions, you go, man, I'm glad we don't have those problems. But on the other hand, it is. I mean, higher education and academia in general essentially is about building off of one another. Whether it's, idea sharing or coming up with solutions or innovating. It's what we do in academia. It's what we do as peer reviewers. We're peers, right? Like, I don't get paid to do this. I do it out of the kindness of my heart, essentially, and to learn more. I'm a big believer in as much as you learn, as the stronger you are, and the stronger you are, the more you can give back to your institution.
Right.
So I take that. I do the same with my research commission. So I was elected to the National Research Commission for concurrent enrollment. There's only 12 of us in the entire nation on this research commission for this group. And, we get together, a few of them are from Columbia University, University of Utah, these large places. And essentially we idea share. And we talk about state policy regarding access to dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment, and are students better off, are students worse off, are institutions worse off? We talk about that on a national level regarding national policies. And it's trickling down in the states as well, too. So all of that.
And all 50 states or?
Yep, all 50. So all of that comes back essentially to, making me a better person, a better administrator, a better overall asset and resource for the college, because you're learning as you're going.
Something I haven't asked you, and I normally ask this in the beginning, but this isn't one of those type of interviews, and I love it. What kind of awards did you have coming up?
As I was growing up?
No, after you graduated high school.
After I graduated high school?
After high school.
What's funny is that, and I didn't even remember this, was that I had won a scholarship as soon as I graduated high school for being a future leader of Pike County.
And look at you now.
I know. I saw it the other day. I was like, damn, things come full circle,
Right.
So,
you actually, you're a teenager, you are the future leaders. You said it right here. Why was one of the reasons why you was running for mayor?
Yeah,
like I did my homework.
You did your homework. You know me better than I know me.
Sometimes it's good to know who you're talking to, because you see what people say on paper, and we've talked so much in person that I'm just like, yeah, I see this. I'm like, and I've learned a lot, and I'm just like, okay, but I'm about to learn some more.
Yeah. And I mean, anything you read, like, it's not fluff, I promise.
Oh,
you gotta walk the walk.
Of course. You gotta live and learn. And if you don't learn from how you're living, what are we doing?
Absolutely.
And from what I was reading, you were meant for this. This was something you knew what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Some of it probably fell in your lap. Yeah. But it's life. And
absolutely. Life is like a river, right? Like, you just got to go with the flow. And I tell this to all my psych students I teach is like, you don't know what you want to be. I still don't know what I want to be.
I was about to ask you, what did you know what you wanted to do when you grew up?
No, I still don't even want to know I want to be. I could go a few different routes. I just haven't decided which route I want to go with yet.
We're going to get into that too.
Yeah, sure. So you could go a few different routes. I feel like I'm in the position I am, by my upbringing, by taking advantage of opportunities by being in the right place at the right. I mean, life is about timing, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, I never would I never would have met my wife if we were in the same spot at that second. You know what I
Right.
mean? We were only crossed paths for like a minute, you know, and we just happened to run into each other in that minute.
That chance encounter.
That's exactly it. And that's a life, you know. Everything we take advantage of is life. Like it's the burnt toast phenomenon, right? You know, I was talking to somebody the other day and about, you know, this whole plane incident and the door blowing off. And the woman who was supposed to be sitting there missed her flight. Like, so when you start taking a look at all these things that happen to us, it's like, you know, okay.
Okay.
Like, I am where I am, right? Like you're
Right.
stuck in traffic. Like maybe it's good you're stuck in traffic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Few of those folks who was in the towers who was supposed to be at work, and they were like, "Y'all was supposed to be right there."
absolutely. And I mean, life is funny. Like you know, you just have to go with the flow. If you fight the current too much, you'll drown.
Right.
I mean, I see it literally, you know, you fight the current too much, you drown. If you keep hitting the banks, that's okay. As long as you keep going down that river, you know what I mean? And that's the goal. That's what we all try to do. You know, some of us don't make it, and that's the worst thing, you know. Some of us are too afraid to jump in the river. You know, you'll stand there and watch everybody else go, and you're just too afraid. So, you know, it's a good, you know, good example of all of us and what we try to do.
What are some of your? You're not going to be here at Sussex County for the next 20 years.
Maybe.
Well, maybe. I mean, if you choose to. But even if you do, and even if you don't, what are some of your next steps? Like, what are some of your personal goals past just being the vice president here?
Yeah. You know, and I really don't know. You know, I really take advantage of opportunities as they present themselves. I've been asked to do certain things and to go in certain directions, and whether that's run for political office, higher up than mayor, whether I want to go that route, you know, whether...
Do you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I can make a lot of good things, you know, having somebody that can, you know, work together with all groups to actually do something. You know, everybody does a ton of talking, not a ton of doing, you know, and that's kind of my MO, is actually doing something. You know, great ideas are great ideas, but if you don't do anything with the great idea, you might as well throw it in the trash and never have come up with it in the first place.
All right.
So, you know, maybe we go that route. Maybe, you know, I want to stay vice president forever because I get to deal with students much more, you know. You know, getting to know the students, you know, is one of the best parts about my job. You know, you know, like you guys could just be talking about, go sit at your lunch table. It's like, what are we talking about today, guys?
Yeah.
You know, what are we doing?
Right.
You know, and that's one of the best parts of my day. You know, or maybe I want to be a president someday of a college of my own. You know, so there's a ton of different things I could do. I mean, maybe I don't want to do any of that. Maybe there's something I haven't thought of that's going to present itself. So, you know, all I know is that I could just be the best person I could be. I could be the best father I could be, the best husband I could be, best, you know, administrator, best mayor. And you just try to strive for, you know, greatness within that time you're in these certain roles. So.
You are getting your PhD, or you have it?
I have my PhD.
You have it. And it's in the integration between technology, psychology, and learning.
Yes.
You actually using that in your class, and then also, I guess, as a whole, I guess with the communication, with the social media.
Yep.
And is that all helping you bring all that together?
Yeah. So my PhD really stemmed, and especially my dissertation, really focused on the role of self-regulation and community college student success. And self-regulation essentially is your ability to, you know, to regulate your behaviors, right? Like I explained to my class, like, you know, you have a test on Monday. You're biologically driven to say, you know, that party's going on. That's a lot of fun.
I'm going to that party. I'll study for that test later.
That's it. And that's the trap, you know. Folks that have high levels of self-regulation are able to say, oh, man, I wish I could go to that party, but I got to study. You know, you look down the road and you're able to regulate your behaviors, what you say, what you do, how you act, you know, to meet your goals. So, like, you stay in and you study. What's the difference between that person that stays in and study versus that person that goes to the party with that test on Monday? What happens?
I mean, if that party on Friday, I can go to that party on Friday, study on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, as long as you're not hungover on Saturday.
Younger me would probably been on hungover on Saturday and Sunday.
That's what I mean. It's like, so when you're talking to college students, if you have the ability to self-regulate as a college student, you got the world, and whether that's on a team, whether that's in a relationship, whether that's working with your boss or your coworkers or fellow students, we all have things we really want to say.
Right.
We all do. I promise. You're like, man, you in some meetings, you just want to, that is a stupid idea, but do you say it? Probably not. I hope.
It depends on how you say, because you could be like, yo, okay, you can say, yes, it's a stupid idea, but maybe not say it's a stupid idea. It could be on how you say it, because tactfulness
but even your ability to not say that's a stupid idea, right? And to do it tactfully, it takes an amount of self-regulation, right?
It does.
And so I was very big on my dissertation being, your ability to self-regulate and your success as a college student. So what I found was it didn't matter how smart you were in high school. It didn't matter what your GPA was, how good you did on your SATs, how good you did on your previous college classes. Your ability to be successful in college was based on your ability to self-regulate. And so what we did is now we're taking that dissertation and I'm working with our math faculty and we're embedding that within math classes now of learning about self-regulation and self-efficacy and goal setting and task strategy. And so we're running a study. We just finished the study and we'll be getting the preliminary results soon of that one class. Essentially, we took of pre-calculus students, had that built into the class at 5 minutes before they started their lecture every day about different components of self-regulation versus a control group that didn't have it. And preliminary results are showing the students that had that, self-regulation built into their curriculum performed 100% better on not 100%, but whatever.
Well,
they performed better on tests than the students that didn't have any of it and were just, okay, open your textbook to chapter 33. So maybe it's not about what students do, don't learn, don't do, etc. It's about their ability to self-regulate and to stay focused, right? Like maybe that's what we're missing in academia and higher education. The trap of public education is that there's so much content to go over. And it's a chapter every week, and we can't take time from it. So being able to slow down and focus on these things maybe helps.
Yeah, but when you start getting to that higher education, and I've been asked this before, some of these textbooks are pretty dangerous too, because a textbook can say one thing, professors are going to say something different, and you got students out here going, what? So how do you bridge that gap? Because especially in math, you can use Excel.
Yep.
You can use a calculator.
Yep.
Then you can use your hand.
Yep.
And if a professor says, "Well, we're going to use it this way and not this way," how do you bridge that gap to get students to succeed when they're learning 50% of the material?
So I tell students, especially in my psych classes, and I'll compare it to psych, is that, you're the master of your own learning, right? I get it. I get it that I didn't learn because blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, the outcome is still the outcome. I like challenging students to say, did you seek tutoring help? Did you try this? Did you try that? And I'll tell you, 90% of the students, maybe 95% of the students that fail classes, did they seek tutoring? No. Did they try coming to somebody beforehand? No. Right? So you're a master of your own learning. Students today, and I know it's like, it could be controversial or not, but you need to take control too, right? Like the textbook is saying one thing, your teacher's saying the other thing. You're smart, man. And you can do some research on your own to find out as well too. You have different competing perspectives, and that's going to be life, right?
Oh yeah.
In life, you're thrown at so many different perspectives, and it's up to you to figure out what's right to you.
Which path you want to take?
Which path do you want to go, right? Which path do you want to go, who you want to be, etc. So link it back to math, right? Did you go seek tutoring? No. Like, if you went and saw tutoring, would the outcome been different? Maybe, right? But you never would have known now, you know? So, like, and that's one of the things when it comes to students, and, you know, pride is so dangerous in that, like, well, I don't want people to think I'm stupid. And I was like, you know what's stupid? Getting an F.
Not
right?
asking is stupid.
And not asking, right? That's stupid, man. Like, why because I did that. You know, my first semester, freshman year at Lebanon Valley College, I failed chemistry. You know why I failed chemistry? Because I was afraid to ask for help. I never went to tutoring. I didn't want people thinking I was stupid. I didn't want people saying, you know, oh, there's another dumb football player, you know. And then I took an F on chemistry, and I was like, damn, that's never going to happen again. So then I asked help.
You say football players not going to tutoring, and that wasn't that long ago, but now times have changed, and man, all the football players are in tutoring.
Yeah. Yep. We set students up for success, and all of our student athletes are required here to do at least 3 hours a week in study hall. Oh, so wow. We bring tutors to them. We help them out as much as they can. And again, you know, I come down to the basic premise of we can set students up for success, and we can lead a horse to water. You know,
you can't let it drink.
You can't make it drink.
Get it to drink.
I could be the best teacher in the world to you, Gerard. I could be the best teacher in the world. If you don't want to learn, guess what's going to happen, buddy?
You're not learning.
You're not learning.
So this has almost been like 1 hour and a half long recruitment pitch.
Yeah, right.
You know, but at the end of the day, kids, they out there, they still trying to figure out where they want to go.
Yeah.
And we've spoke on this throughout. You don't get to hear from the vice president, from the president. You don't get to hear things about a college from the higher ups because they're always too busy. For the kids, the people, not even just the kids in high school. International, we know we have international students here. We have, and then the non-traditional students. What is something you can say to them to get them just to come here?
You know, I go back to what I mentioned earlier. You know, the number one thing you could do, especially if you don't like where your life is currently, is to do nothing. That's the worst thing you could do. You know, it doesn't take a lot to pick up a phone and call admissions or call me. You know, my office number is listed on the website. You know, email me, stop in, talk to anybody here. You know, all of our students have a fantastic time here. There's challenges, of course there are. And we work through those as a college and together. But I promise you, you know, the worst thing you could do is do nothing. And if you do something and you check this college out, I promise you won't be disappointed. And when you get in here and you enroll, I promise you're not going to be alone, right? You know, our doors are always open. You know, our president, you know, tutors in biology, right? You know, I teach psychology classes, and we're, you know, in clubs and activities and, you know, dunking on Matt in basketball and all that, you know? So like,
we'll see.
Yeah. So, you know, you're never going to be alone in this academic journey. You know, I was there, right? I was alone in my academic journey, and it was tough. And so it's not going to happen. And like I said, pick up the phone, send an email, stop in. You know, it's very easy. And if you don't like it, I'll set you up.
I don't know how you won't.
But even if you don't, right?
Yeah,
it's not everybody's cup of tea. I'll set you up to something or somewhere you will like.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I've been going around to high schools and talking to all the classes in high school. And essentially that's it, is that, you know, as long as you're doing something, I'm happy. If you're here, I'm happier because I get to see you and interact with you and, you know, everything.
Right.
You're part of this thing that we're doing all together, right? But if you're not, as long as you're somewhere happy and you're succeeding at your educational and career goals, that's it. At the end of the day, you're making a better society, you know, for the next generation. Right.
Through this whole conversation, we're not even gonna call it an interview, it's a whole conversation. The main message we've both been spewing is we want to leave this place better than how we found it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, is that how we want to say it? Because all the involvement, and I wouldn't put my own recruitment pitch on here, but I remember when I took that leap of faith, to come here.
Oh.
And I think me and you talked, I think one of the first 2 days I was here, and, and all of us, it's ballooned.
Yeah.
And to think back to, I've been to the big 4-year university where the professor don't know your name. I've been to another community college. Did I know anybody that I do here? No, because and they all could have had their own schedules and everything. But within that, it's like you yourself, the president,
Dr.
Conley, y'all actually make yourselves kind of try to make yourselves available, because at the end of the day, yes, you're human, we all human, but at the end of the day, we all got one mission: walk across that stage.
Absolutely, and that's what we're here for. You know what I mean? Like I said, every student who drops out's a loss on our record.
Yeah, it sucks,
and it hurts, man. It really does. I've seen kids get right to the finish line and they just can't get over the finish line. As much as it is, me personally tutoring or hooking them up with somebody else, or
right.
Figuring out grants to get them gas cards or getting them.
Which those did go away this semester. Just those did go away. I guess you couldn't, out of all the magic that you was able to create, that's that little 1% you couldn't get. But
the spring semester just started, buddy.
We'll see. But it was fun talking to you.
That was awesome.
And we'll definitely be mad to sit down at the end of the semester one more time before I graduate.
Oh, absolutely.
Just for one time.
Oh, absolutely.
And to see how things went this semester. And
I'm sure
it was awesome talking to you.
Well, I'm sure you're going to be in touch even after you graduate.
Oh, you already know.
I know that. I know that. So awesome. Thank you so much. It was a fantastic time.
Yes, sir. And thank you all for tuning in to the Voices of Sussex. And you all have a great rest of your day.